Hey everybody, Dan from danwagner.co with some notes on an awesome question I saw on Stack Overflow tonight about deleting rows in an Excel file using VBA. And I love this question because deleting rows with VBA is absolutely foundational. Every VBA programmer is going to be asked to do this, so knowing how to do it in an effective way is a total must for anyone who expects to be writing VBA scripts as part of their day-to-day. And so inside this problem, it turns out that the issue was due to the direction in which the for loop was iterating. And so if you're going to delete rows with a for loop, you need to start at the bottom of your data range and work your way up, rather than starting at the top and working your way down. This is kind of a frustrating challenge. Personally, I've found myself iterating from top to bottom, trying to delete rows, and I was able to very, very much empathize with the poster of this question because it is damn frustrating to see rows not get deleted when they should be deleted, and vice versa. Rows that should be there getting deleted because you're iterating from the top to the bottom and not the other way around. And so with that in mind, I actually like to use another technique for deleting rows that I think will make a lot of sense to folks who are using Excel by hand somewhat regularly. And that method revolves around Excel's built-in autofilter. And so if you were to delete rows by hand, I'm guessing you would go over to the Data tab, you would click on Filter, you'd uncheck all the items that you don't want to delete, and then check the two items that you do want to delete, click OK, then delete all the rows in one fell swoop. And this technique, using Excel's built-in autofilter, is very similar to that. So let's actually do a little bit of testing here. Imagine that Janice in accounting from John Oliver's Last Week Tonight has gotten a hold of your file, and now you're stuck with 20,000 rows on both of these sheets that you need to delete. And unfortunately, right, as you know, Janice in accounting don't give a flip, so you just have to deal with it. There's no way to get around this challenging requirement. Let's see what happens when we try to delete all the rows that include thumbs.db or invoice.zip using a for loop. So I'm going to kick off this for loop version right now. As you can see, we figure out the last row, and then we start iterating from the last row back all the way up to row 6, which in this case is the very first row that contains data here, and we use this step -1, which means, go from big to small, right? Count upwards in that direction. And so this for loop method looks like it took about 22.5 seconds, and we can verify that it worked by clicking the drop down in a filtered range and observing that thumbs.db and invoice.zip is gone. Now, on the other hand, let's take a look at how quickly the autofilter method will work on a similar 20,000 row data range. Cool. So you can see that took place in about 4 seconds by comparison. And this particular method isn't very difficult to read. You can see you get yourself a range, right? We identify range much in the same way that we identified the last row in the other version. And then we use this autofilter method to only select rows that say thumbs.db or invoice.zip. And then we delete all those rows in one fell swoop with this line of code right here. And we can verify that this method worked as well. All the thumbs.db and invoice.zip lines have been deleted, and it worked really quick. So to sum it all up, Excel's autofilter on a range object is a great way to eliminate rows in a hurry. Not only is it a nice analog to what you would do if you were deleting rows by hand in Excel, but it also happens to be super duper fast. And if there's one thing your end users will love you for, it's writing code that helps them get their job done more quickly. If you have any questions or thoughts about using the autofilter method on a range, I'd love to hear them. Otherwise, have a good one.